This is Nerdrotic, and he understands shilling perfectly when he feels like the target audience being manipulated is him. I'm bored. Let's watch this Nerdrotic video. It's titled WTF Were They Thinking? Angel Studios and paid shills completely effed up. All right, let's give it a go.
Angel Studios. What the f are you thinking? Now, we showed it on Friday Night Tights. You guys all saw the video of them clowning the fans for prejudging a movie from a trailer and with the concerns. And this is probably a direct response to Tim Pool. I mean, Tim Pool is 100% right on this one, by the way.
I want to point out before we get too far in the weeds on this, Angel Studios is an awful right-wing Christian nationalist studio. And of course, this film, Animal Farm, is doing the same sketchy shit that Angel Studios does with all of their movies, with their pay-it-forward system. Animal Farm has an official pay-it-forward page where you can claim a free ticket from someone who paid in advance, paid it forward, I guess you could say, so you could just use that to go and see the movie. So yeah, Angel Studios is using the same kind of pay-it-forward free ticket ecosystem for Animal Farm that they've been criticized for before, if you remember their other movies, where, you know, paid tickets can be turned into free tickets for empty movie theaters, where people go and they're like, there's no one in here, but all these tickets have been claimed. It's just, I don't know why they keep doing it or how they keep getting away with it. It seems like they're just pocketing money and ripping off movie theaters at the same time. That's just my take. And as far as Tim Pool being right, so now paid influence is bad? Interesting, because when these guys scream about access media and shills, half the time it just means critics like the thing that I hated, or they pretend to hate, which is what I assume they do a lot of the times. Just my opinion on that. But now that a right-coded studio allegedly throws money around to get some friendly coverage, suddenly everyone on this side of the aisle remembers media ethics. Let's continue.
He's 100% right on this one. So he was offered, I don't know when, money to review it. I don't know if they specifically said positive review or whatever, but he was offered money. I haven't.
So you don't know if they asked him to review it positively. You just know that he was given money. That's a really important thing to remember, but let's continue.
I'm going to ask Drinker if they, I don't think they did. I don't think he wouldn't have done it anyway. They definitely didn't ask me. And I'd have said no anyway. So, but they paid people like Tucker Carlson and Riley Gaines, who I liked all her work with for women's sports and stuff.
Riley Gaines. You mean the cisgender woman that tied for 5th place with a trans woman and then complains that that was the reason she didn't win the race, even though she tied for 5th. So even if you were to take the trans woman out of the race entirely, she still would have been 5th place. That's who you respect? Okay.
It's great. So, you know, aside from that, we had a lot of people who don't discuss pop culture and film on the right talking about it. I mean, arguably, Tim talks about it more than Riley Gaines and Tucker Carlson for sure. And they gave it a positive review. One guy going as far.
I want to point out, this is the issue, Gary. This is the problem. You're staring it right in the face. This is how the right-wing system works. This is how it all works, man. Like, you're a part of that process. Maybe you don't take direct money from the studio when they're saying, hey, give my thing a positive review, but you are part of that machine with you and all the other people in your space. It's like, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fake. And if you're going to criticize people on the opposite side of you, critics who are doing something that you think is wrong from your perspective, then you have to understand that everything that's happening on your side, it's been happening for a while. This isn't new. You're so close to getting it here. Like, I wouldn't say I disagree with him. I hate to say this. I don't disagree with him 100% here because he's right. They shouldn't be taking money to give fake reviews. If they're being, paid to push a movie, disclose it. Be honest about it. Don't launder it as real enthusiasm, as organic enthusiasm. You shouldn't do that. But the funny part about this is watching him discover this only when the Shill factory points inward. When all of this stuff starts pointing in this direction, in his direction, then he understands it. Then he gets it. But not before that.
Guy with a beard, don't know who he is, going like, usually I like Tim, but Tim is dead wrong. This movie is anti-communism. So, as most of you may know, because you were forced to read this book back when school, I don't know, I doubt they like make you read it in school now. But both my sons had to read it. I had to read it. It's been a minute since I read it. It is by George Orwell, socialist Democrat, who was disillusioned with the communist revolution and wrote a satirical fable called Animal Farm. As you all know, that is a condemnation of the Russian Revolution and Stalin.
Okay.
So it's not like a pro-capitalism story. There's actually, he didn't like it. So we're not going to say it's a pro-capitalism story, but it's definitely an anti-communist story, anti-authoritarian story. And it really shows the cycle of human behavior when a certain group gets, and what I mean by certain group is elite, when a certain, because there's always an elite, there will always be an elite. And you know, I don't know what he said afterwards, but it's the ultimate criticism and final solution for communism is we're not robots. We need to be motivated. Not everybody works the same. Not everybody is the same. Some people are better than others in skill. It's just a fact of life. And in a system that relies on everybody working together, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And usually when people are given control, they're going to take all the power and take all the resources, and they'll just be a new fat cat rich elite in that communist system, and on it goes. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Same thing fucking happens. The people who say communism hasn't been implemented, it's been implemented plenty of times to the same results that were written about in Animal Farm every fucking time. And
all right, we're going to pause there. All right, so he's not completely wrong that Animal Farm is like anti-Stalinist, anti-authoritarianism. Yeah, he knows just enough about Orwell to use him as a bumper sticker here. I would say this is a very flattening of the story. And there's some like moments in that whole segment where he's essentially leaning into his own beliefs and his ideas of communism and capitalism and things like that. But that's not really what this video is about. The video is about what's going on with the film and Angel Studios. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. If you haven't read Animal Farm and you want to, I suggest go ahead and do that. Read the book, and really think about the concepts introduced in the book. Don't listen to Nerdrotic's summation of Animal Farm. Let's continue.
That's it. Well, they do a whole other thing, and it's very, very modern. Now, it's one thing to make a shitty movie that subverts the theme, directed by Andy Serkis, who I love as an actor, member of the Socialist Party in the 90s. I'm sure he's still a silent member. I'm sure he just quit because he saw his star rising and thought, back then, it wouldn't.
Speculation. That's fine. That's not the worst sin committed by Nerdrotic, but it is a lot of speculation there.
Look good if I was part of the Socialist Party in the 90s. Not in the 2025s, in the 90s. And Seth Rogen voicing a character, and I think Angel Studios were of the mind that, listen, we want a show will work with everybody, right? And a studio attempting to show grace where nobody else has shown it. I think that's
so it's not about being better then. It's not about being the better studio or being the better person or going after the best talent in your mind. It's not about that. It's about ideologically staying firm with whatever side you pick. It's a sports thing. If you're this team or you're that team, you stick with that team. You don't cross that line whatsoever. If you really truly believed that you should be hiring people who are the best at what they're doing, that people are just better at certain things, which is what you talked about early in this video, then you would agree with Angel Studios crossing a line, crossing the aisle to get someone that's the best for the job, regardless of what their beliefs are. You would support that, Gary, because your biggest gripe that I've seen over the years is this idea that people can be canceled, people can be left out, people with conservative voices, people who are Republican, whatever, are automatically excluded based on the fact that they are those things. This is one of your biggest arguments. I wouldn't say the biggest, it's one of your biggest. I'll correct myself there. One of your biggest arguments. So if Angel Studios goes, hey, we want to hire the best people for the job, and some of those best people may not be people that ideologically align with us, why would you be against that when you're seeing someone on your side of the aisle trying to extend the hand to people that don't necessarily agree with their values? I would say that shows a level of concession that you claim people on the left don't have. So again, like I see with these folks all the time, it's not about doing the right thing. It's not about being the better community. It's not about, not being hypocritical, not having a double standard. It's not about that. It is simply about just doing the thing that they actually want to do and getting away with it more successfully. And then they get mad about it. And so now he's seeing a studio, Angel Studio, a right-wing Christian nationalist propaganda studio that does sketchy stuff. And we've been calling them out on that, which, by the way, I've been calling them out. You can go check my receipts. I've called them out on this in the past. They've been sketchy for a while. And I've told many people on this side, on Gary's side, that they're sketchy. But they never wanted to listen to it. They never want to believe it. But now because of all this drama involving Animal Farm, all of a sudden they're looking inward and they're going, wait a minute, is the same stuff happening over here? Do we have paid shills on our side? Do we have all of these people over here that we basically accused everyone on the left of being? Are these people, do they exist in our ecosystem? Yes, Gary, they do. And they have.
That's what their mindset was. We're trying to expand. We want to work with Hollywood, but we still want to be ourselves, and we can find a happy medium. I get it. I get the strategy. It makes sense. I wouldn't have gone directly to Seth fucking Rogen, but I'm sure they saw Andy Serkis's name and they're like, Lord of the Rings, and Andy Serkis and Seth Rogen are laughing at you right now. They got their paycheck and they're laughing. But it's one thing to subvert a classic book. It's been done before, will be done again. And it's another thing to go after the audience.
Oh, here we go. The sacred rule, the one that only exists when they're the audience, right? When queer fans, black fans, women, Star Trek fans, Star Wars fans, Marvel fans would complain, oh, they might be talking about us like trash. They mock them, the screaming person in the thumbnail. They would talk about, oh, people on the left melting down, triggered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when Angel Studios says loud minority, suddenly it's an unforgivable sin. Now it's a problem. Now it's an issue. Interesting.
It's a completely different thing.
So Angel fans hate me?
No, most don't. You passed the guild. It's a loud minority trying to silence us.
Like the pigs.
Oh, what a fuck up. Angel.
I want to point out, we have been saying this for a while now, that your side is getting progressively more unhinged when it comes to social interactions. The memification of it all. It's just a joke, bro. Gary, this is stuff that you guys have ushered in. This is your fault. And I don't mean specifically and directly you as an individual person. I mean, as the ideology of your community, this is your fault. You guys have been okay with this. You've supported this. This kind of low intelligence memification discourse online, this locker room talk, all of this bullshit. This is something that I don't think you guys have ever stood up against. You've always said, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. My thumbnails are a joke. My titles are a joke. The things we say, it's just humor. And then the studio comes along that's on your side, and they go even further with this than anything that Hollywood has done. Yeah, Hollywood has made statements about stuff. They've had actors come out, they've had writers come out, they've had directors come out, but they've never really mocked their fans in this way. When you guys have said that, you know, Disney is attacking the fans, or Marvel is attacking the fans, or this XYZ person is attacking the fans, when you've said that, it's never been true. It's never been true. When they call out racist people in a community, that's not attacking the fans, it's calling out the racist. But here you have a studio that actually is mocking the fans. They're mocking the people that watch their movies. It's actually happening. Let's continue.
Baby cakes. You fucked up. Right there. Did you just use loud minority? Did you just use the same language that Lucasfilm uses, that Kurtzman Trek uses?
It's a loud minority trying to silence us.
Like the pigs.
I mean, basically, you don't hate the tactic. You just hate it when you're on the receiving end of it. That's essentially it. It's a heat in the kitchen situation. Like, you guys are okay with this kind of shit any other time, as long as the cannons are pointed in the other direction. But then when you get this pointed in your direction, all of a sudden, now it's an issue. Now it's wrong. You don't care about the tactic. The tactic isn't the issue. The raising of the memification of all of this to another level is not the issue. I want you guys to understand, none of this is the issue. The issue is they don't like to be on the receiving end of the same thing that they do to everyone else. That's pathetic, man.
These are the kind of things you don't come back from. And you have a pretty good, like a George Washington movie that I was looking forward to coming out this year. Now, I don't think everybody's going to abandon you over this because, I mean, again, I say this is a fully independent person, and that's how I vote. The right will be more forgiving, but it's a rug pull. You'll have to do a lot of hard work to convince me otherwise. Black Rifle Coffee. Everybody remember, we talked about it on Friday Night Tights. Everybody remembers Black Rifle Coffee. Once they got publicly traded, they were fucking for BLM and all this crazy shit. After being like, we're for vets and we're part of the right, we're Black Rifle Coffee 2A. Remember those motherfuckers? They're still around. I don't know how. Coffee's not that great, but they became publicly traded, got really, they used you conservatives until they didn't need you anymore and pulled the rug.
You say independent, Gary. You're a conservative as far as I'm concerned. Actions speak louder than words, bro. You are more conservative in my opinion. But the interesting thing here is you said they used conservatives until they didn't need you anymore and then pulled the rug. Congratulations. You discovered identity marketing because this time it was dressed up the way you liked it. Like you're just now realizing that conservative audiences are a market segment? Didn't know. Completely oblivious, your guy, Nerdrotic, didn't know that marketing to conservatives is something that actually happens. Conservatives are not immune to brand identity. It's not some magical power they have. The companies are not your family. They're not your friends. You guys should have known this because this has been one of your talking points for years, Gary, is that you shouldn't listen to these companies, these studios, whatever. But because Angel Studios was a right-wing conservative Christian propaganda studio, you had no problem with any of this stuff prior to this happening. These guys are not part of your movement. They're businesses. And these businesses are selling you the feeling of belonging to a movement, which, oddly enough, is exactly what you guys do with your audience. You sell them the feeling of being part of a movement so they can belong, so they have somewhere to go. That's what you do. And now you're like, oh, I didn't realize, I was unaware that you could market dog shit to conservatives, build up your business, and then move on to something bigger and leave conservatives in the dust, because surprisingly, conservatives aren't the biggest part of the market. They're simply a step stool to the full market. Because like you said, conservatives are more forgiving. AKA, when it comes to stuff like this, they're either willing to overlook it simply because they have no actual morals or ethics. It's all a team sport for them. Or they're too stupid to realize they've been played. That's typically why that works. You stumbled onto it, Gary. You might want to brush your knees off when you get up from the dirt.
It's really fucking hard to not see this as that. And then pushing it on the guild, and maybe some people from the guild did see the movie first. I would hope so before they voted on it, because the guild votes on things. Angel Studios didn't make this movie. They distributed it. And this film couldn't find a distributor in Hollywood, the town that agrees with them and would agree with the message of this movie. And they didn't want to release it because it's fucking terrible. And this does not bode well for The Hunt for Gollum with Andy Serkis directing. Well, they have a guild, not a film actors guild. They have a guild that they're paying members, and they vote on the films. This was unnecessary. This is what's going to hurt you, not the bad movie. And maybe you were reacting to what Tim Pool said, and maybe it was a panic move to maybe pay some influencers. But those influencers, you know what they are? They're shills. There's shills on the right, shills on the left. They got paid. They got paid to do a review. That is, well, at least in our sphere, antithetical to everything we fucking do.
Wow. He doesn't object to shilling as a system. He objects to shilling when it embarrasses his team. You know what's really interesting about this to me is this is like proof of that. Like typically when we're talking about undisclosed promotion being a problem, most people would agree that it's a problem. It's just you need proof that it's actually happening. You need some actual evidence that it's happening. And so when it came out that people on his side were doing this, because he keeps talking about it as if it's some shocking thing. He goes, at least in our sphere. So he's acknowledging that it is his bubble. Earlier, he said, he talked about conservatives and Republicans as if he was not part of that community. He's more independent, but then he says in our sphere. So is it your community or is it not your community? I'm going to assume it is, and you just tried to hide it earlier because now you're talking very casually and you gave it away. So it is your sphere. You have to apply the standard evenly, Gary. Because when your side accuses everyone of being shills, often there's no proof. You don't provide it and you don't need it. You just say it. Access media, paid shills. But here, the right-wing marketing system, the marketing machine on the right, does it. And now we have a very clear definition of what that proof would look like. It would be someone actually admitting that they were offered money to do this. So remember this moving forward is that his standard, the way he applies it to one or the other is different. There's no set standard for left and right. On the left, you can be called a shill for simply liking a movie. But on the right, you can like a movie, you can hate a movie, you can do that all day. It's not a problem. And it's never an issue about shilling or paid promotions or anything like that unless they have actual proof of it happening, which is why he was dropping names and mentioning names. It's an uneven standard.
And I guess some people had the good sense to delete their tweets. Okay, mistakes are made. That's fine. You deleted your tweet. Okay.
So but the damage is already done, Gary. Deleting the tweet doesn't fix anything. If Marvel or Disney or someone on the left did this, you would be making video after video about them trying to cover it up. They're trying to cover up their shilling. They're trying to cover up getting paid to do things. You would make several videos about it. I don't need to even show you guys. You know it. If you watch Nerdrotic, you know that's how he would react to this. You know it. It's not a hypothetical. He's done it in the past. But now that people on his side are doing it, he's like, that's the right thing. You should just delete it. They got their money, man. They got their money. They made their tweets. The damage is already done.
My guess is they were paid money. They were told, no, this is a anti-communist movie, and they went and backed it up without seeing it. Then I think redheaded libertarian deleted her tweet, and she was probably told by somebody, no, this this is an anti-capitalist one. Like they're trying to do the cope of George Orwell wasn't pro-capital. Of course not. But the book is anti-communist, and it's a social democrat calling out his own people, which is one of the most powerful things you can do, is calling out your own friend, calling out your own side for being a bunch of fucking sellouts. And what is this? This movie is doing exactly what the original story said. It's a sellout.
There's something really funny here about Nerdrotic pretending like this is something new. It gives me a little giggle inside that it's like you understand that this is the system that has been established in your community for a long time. It's just you pretending like, oh, this is the first time it must have happened. No, it's happened before, man. Come on.
And the people are taking the money are fucking sellouts. Shouldn't be talking about this shit anyway. Riley Gaines, stick with the women's and sport things. And you know what? I won't talk about the women in sports. Tucker Carlson, stick to whatever the fuck you're doing, and I'll stay out of geopolitics. I don't know. Does this break Angel Studios? I hope not, but it's fucking dumb.
You hope not. They have done so. Two things they did here are things that you would burn Hollywood to the ground for, Gary. They made marketing that mocked their fans for criticizing them. That's number one. And number two, they were paying people under the table to positively promote their movie. If Marvel had done this to any of their movies, say, for example, this was happening for Spider-Man Brand New Day, right? Say this was happening for that. You guys would make endless videos about how this is why Marvel Studios needs to be shut down. This is why Disney needs to end. This is why they're unethical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The hypocrisy, the double standard, all of these things, yes, they exist here because this is the kind of content you would make in response to that. I'm glad you're calling them out. I'm very happy to see it, right? I'm happy to see that. I'm going to acknowledge that. But I also think you need to take this, whatever this feeling is you have about this, and apply it evenly to everyone. Stop acting like the sky is falling when Disney or Marvel does something like this, and then pretend like this is something that shouldn't end the studio. This should end the studio, according to you and everything you've said over the years.
They should be called out by everybody for this. And everybody fucking hates the movie. They made this movie and pawned it off on some suckers. You look like suckers right now. And full disclosure, I've had conversations with people at Angel Studios. They've been nothing but lovely to me. And when I first heard this, I'm like, what? Nah. But gotta call it out. It's a massive mistake. It's a brand damaging mistake.
Oh, is it? Massive mistake, but they've been really nice to him behind the scenes. Full disclosure, he's had direct conversations with these guys. The studio that has been paying people under the table, the studio that has been mocking them, obviously with this ticket system that is super sketch and super sus, they keep getting called out on it to inflate the success of these movies. These are all things that Angel Studios does. If Marvel or Disney or Pixar or Paramount, any of these studios out there even did one of these things, Gary would be having a meltdown. So here we are, Angel Studios, proving yet again they cannot be trusted. And Gary slightly calling them out on it, telling people on his side, you shouldn't be doing this, or don't get caught doing it. Don't get caught, because he doesn't disagree with the tactic. He just disagrees with it when the tactic is used on him.